Welcome, friends, to video 4. We'll do a quick orientation walkthrough in the coaching and aura analysis in your Blue app. What you're seeing right now is my phone screen. There's the Healy app, the pink one, and the Blue app. I have them up on the main screen of my phone because I use my Healy daily. And so why don't we open up the Blue app? I'm turning on my Healy, and it usually takes a moment to connect. So why don't we go into adding a client first? So we're going into clients, add a new client. I just took a quick picture of Fernanda from our
Oh, yeah.
So it's really nice to fill in as much information as you can have. Oops. Whoops. Okay. What's your birthday, my love?
May 17th, 1983.
I should have known that. And what's
Place
your
of birth, Irapuato, Irapuato. Guanajuato. Nope.
yeah.
G
I
U
know how
A.
to spell it. I know
Oh,
I
you do.
I've been there. I love that town so
I
much.
love that you've been there. Oh my gosh.
And so this information down here, I don't worry about filling out. And I do love recording the vibration. So as you can see right now, Fernanda and I are actually really far away from each other, me being in Costa Rica and her being in Oregon. But you can do distance sessions with the Blue app, only with the Blue app, not the pink.
Yeah.
Here I am about to record Fernanda's vibration. So Healy is prompting me to hold the device in my right hand as I do that. So I'm holding the device. I just made sure that it's on, and I'm letting Healy have a moment to locate the device, to connect it.
And
So
now you got to think about me. You just got to think about me over here in Oregon.
looking at you, I'm thinking of you, I'm loving you. And here we are. So now I have Fernanda saved as a client. I'm pressing that little check mark.
Yeah, the little check mark on the top.
I usually don't synchronize. Do you synchronize it to the cloud?
I was doing it and then I stopped just because it's good if you have lists that you're trying to go back to rescan yourself or to resend to yourself daily. But
Mm-hmm.
at this moment in time, I'm just not doing that. So I took it off the synchronization.
Okay.
Can I say one little thing though about adding a client, Katya? Do you remember? Yeah, when we were in there to add a client, if you go back to just the general list of adding clients, yeah, so there, that general list of adding clients there's so many different options: person, animal, organization, vehicle, group, other. This is where, when you're adding in a client, you can put in things like a course that you're teaching, or I have my kids. I just have a client as in kids. And the picture is the 3 of my children, and I've recorded the vibration for the 3 of them. And whenever I want to, I can send my 3 kids together something.
Oh, wow.
So clients can be, more than just like right there in service to union. That was a course that you did with Shanti and Eisen, right? So
Yeah.
you can send vibration to these energetic groupings that we create.
I even have Annie's crystal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. Annie has done amazing things. She's actually recording the vibrations of certain places that she goes to and adding them in as clients. So there's a lot to it. I just wanted to add in there that it doesn't have to just be a person. It can be a group of people. It can be a course. Some people have put in their bank accounts
And I
as a
have my
client.
entire Instagram account as an entity right here.
Yeah, that too. Your entire. I have my Instagram in as a client as well.
Mhm. Okay.
So
Oh,
there's that. Now on to resonance analysis.
okay. So here we are. I'm pressing resonance analysis at the top. My Healy has already been connected. If yours isn't, wait a moment. It'll prompt you to connect your device. Here I am clicking on Fernanda. And here you see the focus came up, which is with what do I have the greatest resonance now? This cannot be edited with the resonance analysis. This is the default setting. Now we continue to the database selection, and this is where the fun begins. I would recommend to start with all Healy programs at first. So as you can see, I'm going to press the little information sign. This is a list of all the programs, all the databases, Healy Gold, Learning, Fitness, Job, all the way through to Power of Three. So in the previous video, Fernanda and I went through this list, talked about our favorites. So right here, I've chosen that database. However, when you start playing around with it a little bit more, you could choose, for instance, the Alaskan Gem Elixirs database. And let's just take a quick peek at what's inside. If you press the little blue eye, it will show you what's in here. We see an entire list of the Alaskan Gem Elixirs. Fascinating. What are you feeling like we should pick for you?
Well, we can do the Bach flower remedies is always beautiful to show as an example, and oftentimes something that I run on people that are new to Healy. And so we can do that. But I generally, when I go in to run a program or to scan myself, I just always do all Healy programs because my goal is to figure out what to run on the pink app.
Okay, perfect. So maybe we can do both. And why don't we start with all Healy programs? So that's what I'm pressing. Start analysis. And because Fernanda is not here with me, if she was, I would get her thumb and right here, right onto this print. But I've got my phone and I am thinking of her, in this case, even looking at her, and I have my thumb right on the screen of my phone, allowing the quantum sensor to access the information that we've put in for her when we were adding her as a client.
And essentially it's finding me in the energetic, in the information field. It's finding me and it's scanning my energy signature. So when you put, of course, it keeps saying sleep programs for me because I've been sick and I'm like, it just wants me to sleep.
Wow. Okay. So don't worry too much about the percentage match because we are throwing a very broad net right now. What's come up for Fernanda in this moment is Healy Sleep, Deep Cycle, Bioenergetic Support, which you intuitively knew, Gold, Learning programs. Okay, so now I have a couple of options here. I can push the pink button and it will generate a PDF. If I press that, here's the PDF that if I was doing this little distance session for Fernanda and she wanted to read what was most resonant, you could send it right to her. I generally don't do that with the resonance because doesn't actually give you much information in the PDF. So now the other function that we have is to vibrate. There's also a drop-down menu where you can choose the duration of the frequency program. You'll notice that it's very different in the blue app in comparison to the pink app. Most programs in the pink app run anywhere between 20 and 90 minutes. Here, we're seeing pretty much homeopathic doses. And I really love to think about this in terms of homeopathics, because as you can see, the default setting here is a minute, 20 seconds. Okay.
And someone once told me too that you should just technically run everything for 1 minute. But if something's acute, like if somebody just fell down and broke their finger, or I don't know, something like that, or is just needing more of an acute dosage, you actually are going to do it for less, not more. So you would do like the 37-second one, for example.
Very important, because many of us are just like, let's blast it. I remember before I knew this and I was playing around with the Blue app, I was like, well, what let's run it like a program. Why a minute, 20 seconds? Let's go, for much longer than that. But it is really powerful, really potent. You might want to, we'll show you how to get to lists, but you might want to, just like with homeopathics, that little sugar pill, you might want to vibrate it several times in a day or even over several days. And we'll show you how to access it without going through the whole process again.
And I'll just add too, I'm kind of blown away that you just scanned me from a distance, but when I've been scanning myself for the last couple of days, these are the same programs that are appearing for me over here on my Healy when I'm scanning, because we just had the flu run through our house, so I've been using those bioenergetic support programs. And yesterday the sleep programs kept coming up. And then, you from a distance scanning me right now, it's the same programs coming through. So
yeah.
Of course, I'm always just mind blown. It's like constantly I meet these edges of just disbelief and like, wow, really? Constantly with this amazing technology here.
Yes. And I'll say, just to expand into what can happen for people, you might run through this very same process the next day or even on a different Healy at the same time and get different results, because even when we think the same thought, we never think it in the same circumstances. And even when we think our intention is absolutely the same, it is never exactly the same. So if you are seeing differences and thinking like, well, this came up for me 2 minutes ago, like, and I'm doing this again, why is this a totally different recipe? Yeah. I trust the intelligence.
Well, and then, how do I say this? I'm speaking from personal experience here, but when I or my kids have been sick and I run the Healy, the frequencies that show up are kind of consistent over the course of the days that we're sick. But when I'm well, or when my children are well, and I run a program in the morning, or I run a scan in the morning, and I run one in the afternoon, they've been completely different. It makes sense to me that right now I'm getting the same information because my body's going through something, and it has been for the last couple of days. So, but when I am overall well, yeah, it does. It can be very different. And I sometimes I'll scan myself 3 times in a row just to see which one kind of shows up most consistently, which program shows up more consistently, so that I know that, okay, that one's something that it's in my field,
So if you remember, we talked about throwing a wider net. What is Fernanda most resonant with in this moment? As I'm lit up by the sunshine. Let's just kind of take a mental note of what we're seeing, because now we're going to narrow it down a little bit. Healy sleep programs, Healy deep cycle, bioenergetic supports, gold. Okay. Now we can go back in to resonance analysis, press the very same button, find Fernanda again. And now, instead of choosing all Healy programs, we can go down to, well, the first one that I'm seeing is gold. Should we do gold because it came up for you?
I would say I would what I do is that I see which one is at the very top that shows the most resonance. And in this case, it was sleep.
Okay,
And then I scan myself to see what specific sleep program it's suggesting.
let's do that. So here's sleep programs, and it showed us there's 4 inside. So you see, after casting a wider net, we see that the top relevance for Fernanda was this particular group of programs. Now we're going through exactly the same process and selecting only that group of programs to do an analysis. So once again, I put my thumb lovingly on the screen and think of Fernanda.
Sleep system. Okay.
So sleep system or systematic, fine flow, balanced sleep, and bed rest. And it's interesting, you were just talking about bed rest being one of your top favorites. So in this moment right now, we're going to go ahead and vibrate.
But like what Katya is saying about casting a wider net, this information is useful because yes, you can vibrate for that 1 minute and receive that homeopathic dosage. But what I would do with this, I wouldn't even vibrate this to myself. I would completely close out of the blue app and then I would go open up the pink app and run. Like that's probably what I'll do right after we finish recording here is I will run the sleep systematic on myself, most likely with the microcurrent bracelets in that pink app. So closing out of the blue app. So basically in this case, I'm just using the blue app to narrow down and give me information as to what program I should run in full length on that pink app.
Beautiful. And that's because you have a Healy and you can do that.
Yes.
Right? If somebody, if you want to send some love, send frequency to someone who doesn't have a Healy, you can do this and it's better than not doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. And it's really interesting when you run something too, like we'll see here with Bach flowers or Schuller salts or gem elixirs. Those are not within your Healy pink apps, right? Inside of the Healy pink apps, you just have the general Healy programs. But here in this blue list, you have homeopathic doses, Bach flowers, all these things that you can send yourself that are, or to your children or to whomever, that are super amazing, super, super amazing. I love right now. I can't wait to see what pops up for Bach flowers. And sometimes the information that we get back, I'm just like, one time it told me something like, you are being sucked dry. I can't remember what it said, but I sat with that. I'm like, what does that mean for a while? And of course, realized, yes, I'm overextending myself. I need either that or I needed to hydrate. Let's see here.
I really like to say to myself and everyone else, please take these descriptions with a grain of salt. Because
fanaticism and clinging to entrenched principles. Like, see, what does that mean? I don't know. I just take it. Just send it to me.
Give it to me.
Oh my gosh, concrete, tangible fears, illness, poverty, misfortune. I was just telling Katya that me moving through the sickness is like, I feel like I'm moving through some scarcity stuff. Oh my gosh, of course.
Stressful people or traumatic event. Number 39, rescues coming up for you.
Yeah, well, I did just have to cancel our trip to Mexico because we were all sick. So that was very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And I was uncertainty. That's crazy because for like all of yesterday, I was like, should I cancel it? Should I not? Should I cancel it? Should I not? It was stressing me out so much. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty good analysis. I think Healy nailed it.
I want to show right after this this dose is done, I really want to go into lists and show you what happened with Zabi yesterday. And it's fascinating what comes up. And when you really drop in, like if your first reaction is kind of raising an eyebrow and being like, this doesn't resonate, sit with it for a minute. Just sit with it for a minute. And also, our words in the English language are quite limited when it comes to energy, when it comes to these really big concepts. So, I mean, the database, they've tried their absolute best to describe what you can expect or what this is for, but I just always feel like I trust that there's so much more that I don't understand. There's so much more to it that the tiny sentences and descriptions are not able to capture. And I just wanted to point our attention for a moment to the percentages that you see. We see 56, 55, 52, and sometimes they're even lower. And you might be thinking, gosh, why is this showing up for me if it's such a low percentage? It's actually not the percentage of how relevant the remedy is to you, but how accurately those little words are able to describe what this means for you. So it's kind of like if your child came up to you and was like, want, circle. And you're just like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, what? I wish you had more words to describe. Right. And then we have to kind of like decipher what are they trying to tell us. It's kind of like that. If it's a 55% match, it means that there's so much more that this particular remedy has for Fernanda that the words don't do it justice. The words on the screen can do it justice only to 55%, but there's actually so much more that this remedy is like, Fernanda, I wish I could tell you that this is actually such a perfect remedy, but these words are 55% accurate in describing how amazing this remedy is for you. You'll see in the coaching app, because the database is a little bit more robust in the way that it describes things, you will see like 97% relevancy, for example. That means that when you read the description, it's pretty much bang on. It's really eloquent in the way that it's telling you what's going on. Does that make sense? Did I do an okay job describing that?
Totally. It makes sense.
Okay,
I
cool.
didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, because you might be thinking, like, why is this coming up? The percentage is so low. And it's just basically telling you, like, don't worry about the words. Just take the remedy because it's really good for you, but I'm not able to explain it. Okay.
This was a good scan. I feel it. I feel it all. So.
Okay. So let us show you the super cool function of lists. You are about to see my inner closet of what's going on in my life as I press into lists. So you see the last 3 scans that we did for Fernanda now live in my phone. And so if she didn't have a Healy and she was a dear friend who was going through something, I can actually go into my phone, into lists, and let's say this evening, spend 3 minutes thinking of her and sending her these frequencies again. And I want to quickly tell you, so you can see there's Zavi Nova, a lot of Zavi. So what was happening last night, Rob and I came to our nanny's house after running all kinds of errands to find Zavi, super cranky, fussy, crying, with a high fever. And of course, like any parents, we wanted him to feel relief. And I couldn't figure it out. Maybe he's teething. Maybe there's something else going on because all of us have gone through some form of flu, cold upgrade, whatever you want to call it. I pulled out my Healy. I went straight to the Blue app. And I just want to show you real quick what I did. I don't know if I started with these. Okay, so I ran all Healy programs on him. This was interesting what came up. Healy Watch, Deep Cycle, bioenergetic vitalization, mental balance. Okay, so it was a pretty wide net. I vibrated that for him. And then when I did Schussler salts, is that how you say it?
I call it Schuler salts, but maybe it is Schussler.
Okay. When I did Schuler salts, a lot of stuff related to connective tissue, bones, and joints came up, which, so here you can see 61% accuracy on the bottom here, bone, skin, and gastrointestinal tract. And again, see, like impatience and violent temper, he's a baby. Let's chill for a second, and which is why this 59% relevancy relates to the description itself and not necessarily the remedy.
But also too, when it sometimes says things like that for little babies, it's also reading the field of the people that are in his energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was at the nanny's house and he was crying and whiny and she's stressed too, it's picking up all of that. It's kind of interesting, especially for little kids. Yeah.
This was really interesting. One of the sub programs that I ran based on the wider net, the top relevancy for him was bone harmony. I have never seen that come up on any scan that I've ever done. Youth, stability, regeneration, holistic support. So it was just interesting. I'm not going to go into more. I did many because I just wanted him to experience some relief. And I'll just show you. Yeah, he sat up within 10 minutes of me running these programs. His fever went down, and then he started walking around, and he ate a big plate of food. It didn't completely take away whatever was happening. He was still, wanted to be in arms, but he was like a completely different baby within 10 minutes. And so Rob, who's been, mildly skeptical, maybe more than I have, he was just like, wow, do more Healy. This is extraordinary. And this is 10 minutes. We had a completely different child.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is that you did it all through the Blue app. You didn't even have to put a Healy with a coil on it or anything,
Mm-hmm.
just straight into his quantum field through the vibrations of that Blue app.
Yeah. So that was really beautiful. That's the gist of the resonance analysis. We look forward to hearing how it goes for you. Now let's move on to the coaching analysis in the next video.